what's going on in Los Angeles.
Mm-hmm.
I can't even comprehend the level of damage that is there. There was a picture on the BBC. It looked like it was a picture from space, and it showed like any place there was a building was gone. I mean, it looked like I've never seen anything like it.
No, it's absolutely terrifying. Just how sudden all of this happened as well. That I don't know, it's up to about 4 major fires. There are all sorts of other smaller fires going on, if I understand correctly, as well. And it just kind of boggles the mind. And it sounded like the worst of the winds might have subsided a bit, but it's not really getting that much better.
Well, and as we're waiting for Cliff to join us here, I will say that they just they're concerned now that the winds are picking up again this afternoon. They're basically it just horrible. It's the updates. I'm BBC is where I'm catching most of this now because they're one of the few news outlets I really do trust. It died down for a while. They were able to get a few of the fires under control to a point. 2 of the fires, though, as of this morning, were 0% under control. And, so, I mean, getting any bit of it under control is an improvement. How much they're going to be able to, I don't know. They're estimated right now, it's a $50 billion cost right now. That's the estimate. And I imagine that's, kind of the priority, that's just a base estimate at this point. Winds are expected to pick up again as these blazes going on. There is 2 things which this just makes me weep for our society. One is have you seen the videos of the people trying to start fires in other parts of town? Arsonists?
No, I've not.
There are people that are going around and they're just trying to start fires. And obviously, if you see anything like that in the LA area or anywhere for that matter, call the police. And they arrested these guys that were trying to do this and such. But it's crazy because it's just that's what I think happens a lot of times with these fires is you get people. A fire will start naturally when without intent, I should say, without intent, like it's a mismanaged campfire or electrical or something like that. It's basically without intent, but then people come on out and start their own fires up, and that's kind of crazy, man, that these people do this. The other thing is the looting, and it is terrifying to see people running into burnt out homes to try to find anything they can steal from these people who've already lost everything. And yeah, it's sadder beyond sad, man. And I want to say one thing about progressives, if I can, really quick about this whole thing. James Woods, I actually interviewed James Woods when James Woods did John Carpenter's Vampires. I actually interviewed him for a show I was on back in the day, in the past radio life. And he was a nice enough guy. I mean, we didn't talk politics at all. We just talked about the movie and doing it. And he was a nice enough guy. And yes, he has definitely gotten into the right-wing political world. And yes, he's been one of these people that's denied climate change. And yes, he just lost his house due to climate change. Whether he wants to admit it or not, it is. But I'm to the people who are high-fiving and this, no. He's a victim just like everyone else. I might feel in the sense being of, you kind of, this is what you get. I mean, in the sense being is that it's the, you insist that climate change is not a problem and you keep hoping bad things don't happen. Well, bad things are going to continue to happen, but they're not just happening to liberal people. They're happening to everybody. And whether it's in Northern Northern California, where it's like really super right-wingy, or if it's in Los Angeles, where most of the people are liberals, this is horrible and wrong. People's lives are being wiped out. And it sounds like in the case of James Woods, his insurance policy, it's not clear. It doesn't sound like he had insurance on his house. And it's not clear of whether or not the insurance company canceled the insurance or if he canceled the insurance. But needless to say, I mean, he is definitely in a real horrible situation. A real horrible situation. I don't take any joy from this because this is this is one of those life-changing tragedies that, it'll be the story that for 100 years you're talking about how the family member lost the house in the fire. I hope it makes him reconsider his thoughts on climate change. But at the same time, I'm not going to take a lot of joy and excitement out of dancing on the dude's, burnt down house. I mean, that's just, a lot of people are suffering out there, and it's a really, really tough thing. And so all my best to all the people out there. I mean, hopefully they can get it somewhat contained right now. Like I said, though, it's such a mess out there that it's any containment is a minor step forward, but still they got a long way to go. Yeah, it is horrible out there. All my best. I mean, pretty much every state in the union has offered, what do you guys need? We'll get you whatever you need. Firefighters from across the country are headed to Los Angeles, as many people as possible. The military is headed out there. Joe Biden canceled his trip to Italy, so he basically could sit there and act as the point person for the federal government. It is horrible. And all my best to all the people of Los Angeles. Hey, guess who's here? There he is. Cliff Schechter is kind enough to join us. Cliff is Cliff's Edge, of course, on YouTube, where there is live content. There is streaming video content. He does the shorts. He does all of it. It's Cliff's Edge. It's all you ever needed to get through this next 4 years of
Yeah, that. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I got you, man.
Good. Is the sound not too echoey?
No, it sounds pretty good, man. What happened? There was a storm.
Well, the internet. Well, we had a storm a few days ago, as you probably know, or maybe don't know. I don't know. We got hit by 14 inches here between Sunday and Tuesday, and we're still dealing with the after effects because Cincinnati, when it comes to what was the way JFK described DC? I think he said it had all of the charm of a northern city and efficiency of a southern city. We suddenly become a southern city. It's like and act like we've never seen snow before, even though it's been here a million times. And so it's amazing. New York, I mean, I can think of so many cities in the Northeast from where I'm from that handled this so well. And I love Cincinnati, but not one of the strong points here. And so I was doing my live stream and actually the internet went out. And so I have used a hotspot and some other stuff to jerry rig some things here. And somehow we have video and audio. So I'm pretty damn proud of myself. I'm MacGyvered this thing, baby.
You've got your little pedal going on right there below the desk.
I know. I've got a couple hamsters under there on a wheel, and they're running around making this work. So that's nice of them. It's kind of like what goes on in Elon Musk's head when he thinks about how should I respond to a tragedy happening in California or Donald Trump for that matter.
Elon Musk, that cat he is as evil as the day is long. I mean, it is. What this whole process, this whole election cycle has done is pull down any kind of facade that the guy was able to build around himself with Tesla or with the billionaire being on South Park and stuff like this. But the reality is he is just a really horrible human being.
He's awful. The well sinks of garbage sinks as low and deep as it does with Donald Trump. I would almost think they're related. The evil he says to people, the way he can lie out of his mouth and say one thing, like his stupid thing on Twitter. He's like, I'm going to promote, the algorithm's going to promote nicer content. And then, he responds to somebody who criticizes him for the H-1B visas. I hope I can say this. I'm not going to say the actual word, by saying F you in the face. And it's like, Mark Cuban tweeted it out and said, when he said the nicer content, he's like, you first to him. And that's the thing. It's funny I mentioned Mark Cuban because, I've started to sort of put together what my message is about what we're going up against. And I've been very clear the past couple of weeks, and I'm going to be banging this drum forever because it is simple, guys. And this isn't just messaging. This is truth. We're in the second Gilded Age. The sociopathy you see that emanates from the Republican Party and other groups captured by right-wing billionaires is the same sociopathy that stems from billionaires, oligarchs, dictators. That is what that we are being ruled by. And maybe a few MAGA, not key MAGA idiots dancing around with Trump flags and Trump diapers on their heads, but maybe a few people who voted for Trump. Some of them clearly are already figuring it out. And the truth is, I have a FAFO segment, so maybe I'm not the best person for this message, where I just say, I don't care. You did this to yourself, so enjoy. But, the truth of the matter is maybe some of them will figure it out if we make it very clear that it's not, we're no longer, this is what FDR had to fight. We're in that fight again. All right. We're worse than the first Gilded Age. It's not, just left versus right. It's beyond that. It's all of us against people, against billionaires, oligarchs, those who don't believe in democracy, who are fundamentally trying to change the very makeup and being of the United States. They don't want democracy. They don't want our Constitution. They believe they are better than we are. They are more important than we are. Like that guy who looked like he had his eyes drawn on. I talked about him, Deb Fisher's husband, googly-eyed Joe there walking in who couldn't shake her hand, couldn't shake the hand or look at, a black woman who's a vice president, who, by the way, has accomplished so much more than that jackass has ever in his life. But he's above her. It's that same thing. It's the way they look at all of us.
Well,
they are better than we are.
Well, we got to get to a break here, but I'm going to add one thing, piggyback on one thing before we go to the break, and that is this. You're spot on. Since we got rid of the original Gilded Age, the 1880s, where there was the company towns and the wealthy sat on the hills and looked down on the rest of the poor of us, since we've shaken that and gotten away from that, and up until the Smedley Butler affair, where they tried to overthrow the government, J.P. Morgan and the crew tried to overthrow the FDR and his government when they took us off the gold standard. From that point, this wealthy class has wanted to take us back to those ages. And by buying off the Republican Party, the national news media, and now social media, they have placed themselves in a position to do so, to take us back to the company town days, where basically we don't have any rights whatsoever.
Yep. I'd love to talk more about it when we come back,
we have to start fighting back on this stuff.
Because we need to educate people.
Join us, Cliff's Edge on YouTube. We'll take a break, come back. It is the Matt McNeil Show on a Thursday.
Hi, I'm Peter Solak.
And I'm Adam Ostrowski.
We are here at Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces to talk about the joy of live fire cooking. Cooking over a live fire is the oldest and most basic form of cooking.
What's new is in the way fire is handled and its heat is managed.
It's easier to experience and enjoy the smell and taste of food cooked over a live fire.
Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces sells and installs live fire grills, fire pits, and ovens. Let us help you experience the smell, the taste, the fun of cooking with fire.
Pizza was first made and is still best made in an open fire oven. The radiant and conductive heat of a live fire is unmatched for wood roasting and baking artisan breads too.
Come see the many ways you can cook over a live fire.
Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces has over 35 working wood and gas units on display at the corner of East Franklin and Riverside Avenue in Minneapolis. More information at woodlandstoves.com. Find the fire that works for you. Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces. Out of the ordinary products and services since 1977.
This is Robert Pilot of Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, weekdays at 5 p.m. On our show, you'll hear about Native issues like treaties, protecting Mother Earth, and holding our elected officials accountable. Weekly correspondents like Dr. Stately, State Senator Mary Kunesh, Robert Lilligren, and Bob Blake update us with the latest news from Turtle Island. Native issues are human issues, and human issues are Native issues. Listen weekdays at 5 p.m. or watch the show on Native Roots Radio social media accounts. Ho-wah!
Greg Bakken here. Like you, I love good, fresh, delicious food. So I want to tell you about this treasure in Roseville called Maverick's Real Roast Beef. Maverick's has the best roast beef sandwiches I've ever had. Made fresh, every order. Add fries or onion rings dropped in the fryer when ordered, and you have a winning combination. Maverick's Real Roast Beef has a lot more than roast beef, so check out their website, mavericksbeef.com, or check out their restaurant on Lexington in Roseville.
Turn to Auto Technical with your vehicle donation. Even though Auto Technical is a small nonprofit, we have helped more families with transportation than any organization in Minnesota. Since '94, we have reconditioned donated vehicles so they have a higher tax benefit. Call Richard at 612-919-5526, 612-919-5526, or autotech.org.
Baby, it's hard inside. You're running across my mind. I was twisted, I was over it. Saying I never believed in us. Taking a lonely night. Catching a moment right.
It is the Matt McNeil Show. Good to have you with us here today. 952-946-6205. 952-946-6205 is the phone number. Cliff Schechter is kind enough to join us today. Cliff, of course, Cliff's Edge. And then your Patreon, which you're going. Can we put it up here in the chat for the time being? We'll put it up on the screen every time you're with us from here on out. But what is your Patreon page?
Yeah, it's well, I sent it to you in the private chat. I don't know if it's patreon.com/cliffs_edge.
All right.
So
I'm a member. You should be a member. I will link to it on all the social medias, including Blue Sky, for sure, after the show here. So look for that. And frankly, this is where we're at. You know, the hell with the New York Times and the Washington Post and you know, ABC News and all these guys, CNN. They're not on our side. They are not on our side. You are literally going to have to. I mean, I got the BBC. I've got the Guardian. The Philadelphia paper is pretty good.
The Inquirer is owned by a private foundation, so you can trust it.
Yeah.
But yes, among, like, let's call it mainstream media, there are the non-corporate ones, the ones that seem better. You will find that they're either nonprofit like ProPublica, or they're owned by a private foundation like the Philly Inquirer. I would encourage anybody who's the New York Times, or the Washington Post, or the LA Times to just get rid of it. Go to the Philly Inquirer. Of course, I would ask that you subscribe to my Patreon too, and I'd ask it, but not just me. I've introduced you to my friend Tony Michaels, who's got a great show on YouTube. I've introduced you, probably, or you've met them before, Bob Seska and Hal Sparks, and I know you've had John Fugelsang on. I know you met that crew at Sexy Liberal, Stephanie Miller. I mean, these are all people who are good people, as good people off camera as they are on. They will tell you the truth, even when the truth is not good for us, because they just believe you should know the objective truth and not the BS truth that the corporate media says that it's halfway between here and there. No, if 99.6% of the things that are wrong are being done by the Republican Party, then that's how much negative coverage they should get. That's how an honest news media acts. And so that's it. I mean, look, we fought it out, Democrats versus Republicans, and that's still going to be the fight. But people need to understand the broader forces here. You brought up the Smedley Butler. Of course, they tried to kick FDR out, who stood up and said, I welcome their hatred of all of the corporate oligarchs. And this is a guy who's from a wealthy family, right? And he said, I'm going to do the right thing. Same with John Kennedy, for that matter, okay? But we're worse than the first Gilded Age now, right? From back in that time, Justice Louis Brandeis said, you can either have great disparities in wealth or you can have democracy. You can't have both. They don't want us to have the democracy. Peter Thiel, who is behind Trump, who is behind Musk, who is behind J.D. Vance, who's behind Vivek Ramaswamy, and all these guys, was asked point blank about capitalism and democracy and said they could not coexist. He chooses capitalism. The bro-tech oligarchy, the billionaires, they're the ones who are running this. They're the ones who've co-opted the religious right in the Republican Party. They've taken over the party, and we have gone so far backwards to where we are worse. The disparity in wealth and income is ludicrous. We're in a place where the top tax rate, I mean, it just happened, from the 30s to the 80s, we did not, look, there was Jim Crow for a lot of that time. Women did not have equality. There certainly wasn't anything you could even call gay rights. I'm not acting like it was some, beacon of beauty and everything was perfect. But on the economic front, for the only time in the history of the world up until that point, other Western European nations have done it now. And the history of this country, we had a 50-year period where you could live on one paycheck, you could work at a factory, you could take vacations, you had great benefits, you had health care, you had all of these things. And we did the right-wing U-turn with Reagan. It all began, if you watch, we tracked those countries. We're even to the left of some of those Western European countries you think of now as being so, Sweden or Finland or Denmark or whatever. And then they keep going and we start cutting benefits and heading back in the other direction, and that's what we're looking at now. And it's because of the forces that Reagan unleashed, the corporate power and all of that, the Supreme Court, which eventually unleashed all of the money in our politics. And that is what we're up against.
Well, and there's also this mentality where it's by treating the people as poorly as you can, you have literally browbeaten them down almost into a Stockholm syndrome where they basically, their only hope is this lottery mentality. It's like, you could be a billionaire like us. You just keep voting for us. You could be a billionaire. And they're so desperate for anything and they have so little failure because the Republicans that represent most of these MAGA guys out in rural America is never going to help these people. And so they basically have gotten this mentality. And that's the point. I mean, when they went after the teachers, not because the teachers had done anything bad, but because they felt like they were getting something they didn't get. That's when I realized how bad and how warped the Republicans had turned this country. Is it was go and try to punish other people.
I mean, look, they've done it systematically. They've done it from creating their large propaganda outlets and think tanks, whatever, but also to targeting every single group that was a power source and financial source in the Democratic Party. The fake video about Planned Parenthood, the attack on Acorn that was registering people. You know, this is, if you haven't noticed this pattern, right, where they've gone after folks on our side, and they do it again and again and again. And this is part of that, because these guys want to be able to strip this country apart, you know, and sell it for parts. I mean, in the end, they're not even hiding it. Again, Elon, Peter Thiel, you know, I at this point would call Elon, Zuckerberg, Bezos, and Peter Thiel the four horsemen of the American apocalypse. Okay. Zuckerberg is busy getting rid of fact checking. Bezos is kissing Trump's butt in every way possible. I mean, come on, a documentary on Melania. I mean, I'm sorry, I'm just going to say it. Is she going to have her clothes on for most of it or not? I don't know. I don't care if people get pissed at me for that. She's not worthy she's not worthy of an article, much less a documentary. Okay. Yeah. Documentaries are people who've accomplished something in their lives, not for people who found a way to come into America illegally as nude and even more racy than that models and marry some moron who lost all of his family money and then get their parents in the same manner, but attack immigrants. Okay. That group of people, because again, the sociopathy of people that most of the people, if you look at, they've gotten that place. And again, there's exceptions. Mark Cuban, I know personally, is a terrific guy. There are Nick Hanauer, who funds people on the left, who's made a lot of money. In fact, was friends with Bezos in high school, made money and got out of Amazon early because he never said this to me, but probably saw what a sociopath Bezos was turning into. You know, he funds a lot of stuff. He's the one who fought for the $15 minimum wage in Seattle and got it done there before anywhere else. I mean, there are some good folks, but we have to be honest about who most of them are. Most of these billionaires are that way because they've ripped people off. They're sociopaths. I mean, the multimillionaire, again, the dude that wouldn't shake Kamala Harris's hand. You know how they made their money, the Fishers? They were allowed to graze on a cattle ranch, a property of a friend of theirs, and they repaid that friend by trying to steal their land. And they were stopped in court. So then they just waited till their friend died. And Deb Fisher was in the state Senate, and she magically passed a law that instead of that land going to a public park, it became theirs. They stole the land and they became multimillionaires off of it. That is what we must refer to as the oligarch mentality. I know I've got to go, but that's who we're up against.
Before you do go, once again, and people can see it, we got the patreon.com /Cliffs_.edge. We will put that out there. You can go and find that, get it on and support Patreon there. You got to support Cliff. You got to support these few people out there that are bringing us the truth, because quite literally, you're not going to be able to find this many other places. And so unless we turn ourselves and help ourselves, we're not going to get out of this mess. So support Cliff. Get out there, get on Cliff's edge.
As Obama said, we're the ones we've been waiting for, right? I think is what he said. Well, we need to step up and do it. So thank you for promoting me here, and thank you for having me on. And sorry that my building, the Wi-Fi went down.
I hope you survived all the snow out there. All my best to you and everyone in Cincinnati right now. Cliff Schechter.
You guys know it well.
Let's take a break. We'll come back. It is the Matt McNeil Show.
I don't know about you, but I feel good. Hi, this is Frank Brown with Minuteman Press Uptown. It's election season. If you're campaigning for a candidate, your outreach needs top quality union printed materials, from direct mail and yard signs to door hangers, buttons, t-shirts, and flyers. Minuteman Uptown is your union shop to get people to the polls. We print everything. We'll keep your candidate top of mind, target your message with a laser focus, and maximize your voter turnout efforts. Get started today at mpuptown.com. That's mpuptown.com.
Join me, Tom Hartman, where smart people get their news. The Tom Hartman Program on AM 950, KTNF, St. Louis Park, Minneapolis, St. Paul, the progressive voice of Minnesota.
Are you struggling with cognitive decline, post-COVID brain fog, ADHD, concussion, tremors from Parkinson's, mental health issues, or simply striving to optimize your brain's potential? Hypercharge Wellness Brain Health specifically offers cutting-edge modalities including quantitative EEG, transcranial laser, red light therapy, all which work holistically, amplifying focus and cognitive functions. Utilizing these modalities in tandem enhances neural activities, optimizes the brain's electrical patterns, reduces anxiety, and enhances relaxation, ensuring a comprehensive approach to brain health optimization. All are invited to experience this life-changing journey towards achieving optimal cognitive and emotional well-being. Call or schedule online your free Hypercharge Wellness introductory session valued at $200 today. This is your opportunity to feel the difference for yourself. No matter where you are in the Twin Cities, there's a convenient location near you. Visit hyperchargeclinic.com now. Check out our 5-star reviews on our website. That's hyperchargeclinic.com. Hypercharge is hope.
I love the Toyota Sienna Hybrid from Rudy Luther Toyota. Safe, roomy, comfortable, and insanely fuel efficient. One thing I haven't mentioned is how good the Sienna is at winter driving. We just had a snowstorm, and my Sienna handled the ice and snow no problem. From getting through the plow pile at the end of the driveway to safely navigating the snow-covered highways, the Sienna is designed to give you a comfortable, safe drive. When winter weather hits, I give myself extra time, but with Sienna's handling and heated seats, extra time is great. Test drive a Sienna today at Rudy Luther Toyota, 394 and 169 in Golden Valley.
Coming up this Friday on The Gaily Show, John Heimbuch, the artistic director of Walking Shadow Theater Company, will be here to talk about the upcoming season of shows, which includes Witch, Mae West and the Trial of Sex, and Zero Lands. Plus, we'll be sharing movie reviews of Conclave, High Tide, and Amelia Perez. So join us this Friday at 2 p.m. or stream us on our YouTube channel. Follow us on Blue Sky for ticket giveaways, chances to be on the show, and more progressive news and analysis.
KTNF AM 950, St. Louis Park, Minneapolis, St. Paul.
Thank you to everyone who supported AM 950 over the past 5 years. Your contributions have helped us remain one of the few progressive talk stations in the entire country. To show our appreciation, we're offering 2 special gifts this year. First, the official 2025 AM 950 radio calendar. It features photos from Matt McNeil's adventures over the past year and key dates in progressive and AM 950 history. Second is a signed copy of Tom Hartman's latest book, The Hidden History of the American Dream, The Demise of the Middle Class and How to Rescue Our Future. Here's how you can claim these gifts as a thank you for becoming an AM 950 member. For the AM 950 calendar, make a recurring monthly donation of at least $10 or a one-time donation of at least $30. For both the calendar and a signed copy of Tom Hartman's latest book, donate at least $25 per month or a one-time gift of at least $100. Visit am950radio.com to become a member today and receive your thank you gifts. Thanks for supporting independent progressive media with AM 950.
Broadcasting in the evenings on WCPT 820 Chicago's Progressive Talk, in the nighttime hours 11:50 a.m. KKNW in Seattle, and of course in Minneapolis, St. Paul on AM 950, the Progressive Voice of Minnesota. It's the Matt McNeil Show for your Thursday. Thank you, Derek Evangelist Cliff. And hey, Heartland Signal in Chicago. Subscribe, be part of that. Check that every day. I do. Minnesota Reformer here in the Twin Cities. Sahan Journal here in the Twin Cities as well. Very good news outlets. Racket, I'll even throw them on in there, although they're not so much news. It's more kind of social things going on and stuff. Seattle, I know you've got some, great secondary outlets there for news. Yet you can't trust these guys. There isn't, Huffington Post, Axios, CNN, The Times, The Post, they're all compromised. And this is by design. When Zuckerberg goes on out there and says, and by the way, I want to make sure I noticed something was wrong before even this announcement on the community note stuff, on the fact checking stuff. He met with Trump right before Thanksgiving. And I talked about this with Threads because when Musk bought Twitter, I was like a lot of other people, and I said, okay, I want to go out there and just start some accounts with some of these other social media pages in case he's not being honest. Anyway, yeah, he wasn't. He's a lying sack. Anywho, he basically, I went to Mastodon, I went to Blue Sky, and I went to Threads. And this is back when Blue Sky, you had to get someone to recommend you to be on it. It was before the early days, and so it wasn't really taking off. And then Mastodon, I like Mastodon, but it's kind of the internet geeks kind of social media page. It really is. But then there was Threads, and Threads had the power of Instagram behind it. And so basically, if you had an Instagram account, everyone all of a sudden had an opportunity to make an instant Threads account, and it worked. That I was picking up between 1 and 20 followers a day for basically over a year. I was getting at least 2 or 3 posts per week were going viral on Threads, would get well over 1,000 hits, likes, and stuff. I mean, I was like, wow, this is great. This is working as better, if not sometimes even better than Twitter. And then Zuck, sounds like something else, but Zuck decided to sit down with Trump. And since that day, I lost 100. I mean, like I said, I might have lost one. There might have been a day where I might have lost one person per day or something like that. But I'm down to like 170 on followers just out of nowhere. And I don't seem to be picking up followers at all anymore. And then on top of it, most of my posts are not even going close to what they were before. I mean, if I get maybe 100 likes on a post, clearly the algorithms on my account have changed. I am not being shown to as many people. I am not being presented to as many people. That was clear. That was before he came on out here and he did this thing with the fact checking. And once again, this idea that we're somehow taking a neutral stance by allowing lies to be put on the same platform as the truth. That is not neutrality. That is bias, because the truth is the truth. If, I'm to say Mark Zuckerberg is a lizard creature, well, that's not the truth. But if I'm able to promote that as the truth, that's that kind of is disparaging to everyone, isn't it? I mean, we used to be a country where we appreciated it. And I mean, and I'll give one guy credit on this. Jon Stewart, when he saw the crossfire mentality emerge in the news media, where crossfire, it was you would have someone come in and say, cigarette smoking is good. It is? No, it's not. And it was this idea that you had to give credence to outlandish ideas. And that's what we're doing right now. This is when Mark Zuckerberg is out there to start talking about how, Joe Biden is using eggs to take over the brains of all of us. That's not doing us any good as a society, because it's clearly made up. And the thing which I find to be the most insulting of all this is guys like Zuckerberg will sit there and say, well, is it really my job to decide whether or not that's factual? Do you think people are using eggs to take over other people's minds? Yes or no? Because if you do, you shouldn't be in charge of a company. You shouldn't be in charge of a spoon, let alone a corporation, if you honestly think that. But it's this intentional cloak of ignorance of, I don't know if it's true. I don't know what's true. How are we supposed to say? Is the sun up? Yes. Then it's the daytime. Is the sun down? Yes. Well, then it's the nighttime. But not in MAGA world. You can insist it's nighttime during the day and sun-time in the night. You can. And guys like Zuckerberg and Musk and Trump will all sit there and say, it's not my place to say whether or not it's daytime or nighttime. They're doing this because of one reason. The truth hurts them. That's this whole thing. Taking over the news media, taking over all the radio stations and TV stations and newspapers, taking now over all the cable networks, talking about the network news has all basically been compromised, basically taking over all the social media. They cannot allow the truth to exist without their filters. They cannot allow the truth to exist without their filters, which takes the truth and filters it down and says, well, and only when you get these guys in a court of law and someone's saying, okay, now you're on the record, Do you think the sun, when the sun's out, it's nighttime? I said, that's when, of course, I never said that I thought that was true. But I don't, I mean, if someone wants to believe it's true, I'm going to let them believe it's true. I'm not going to condemn them, but I don't think it's true. But that's the only thing you ever get now, because that is MAGA. It is a long time coming, and it's a mess. This is a freaking mess for the Democrats. I don't know how you get out of this mess. I don't. I mean, I will say this. We're on Blue Sky now, and Blue Sky is independent, and there's fact checking, and basically people will jump all over you if you start lying. And and Schechter brought up Mark Cuban. Mark Cuban was the one that brought up the point. He said, if all of a sudden you've got comparable numbers of people on Blue Sky than you do on Twitter or on Facebook, well, that's going to be, I mean, they're going to have to cave. And so my suggestion would be is abandon everything else but Blue Sky and go to Blue Sky. That would be my suggestion. Now, I'm going to still be up on Facebook and Threads and Mastodon, but my main one is becoming Blue Sky. It reminds me of the days when I didn't go to social media and basically start feeling icky the second I opened it. That is what's going to, there's your first step, creating the social media network. Now, how you convince all Generation Z to get on board, because once again, the whole thing with killing TikTok and killing Twitter and Zuckerberg basically trying to say, the truth doesn't matter anymore on Instagram, that's about getting Generation Z. Generation Z was overwhelmingly against the Republican Party in 2022. And they've definitely made inroads by the bro culture and by basically, I mean, my God, I mean, I'd go up occasionally on TikTok and stuff and see the, Donald Trump is the greatest American who has ever lived. Some 20-year-old acting like Donald Trump saved everything. And not only that, but then the same person saying Joe Biden basically took away my abortion rights. And you'd be like, oh my God, I mean, how are you this dumb? And you realize, oh no, these are just fake accounts. But they're not labeled as fake accounts. They're just put the information out there and there you go. Democrats, the left, you have a very big problem with just going out there and saying, my argument's going to win the day. No, it's not. Not anymore. Your argument is getting drowned out by 5,000 porn bots, alpha bros, and every news network basically pushing right-wing talking points. No one hears your message anymore. No one hears your platform. No one hears your talking points. And as you guys all sit there and basically, and especially the Democratic parties in this country, how they've turned their back on, neutral and left-leaning news outlets because we don't want to look like we're biased. Well, you basically have created this mess. While Republicans never shied away from right-wing media, you guys thought, if I go talk to that liberal Matt McNeil, they're going to call me a Democrat. Yeah. No, seriously, I don't even get this. I don't get the amount of times I've called Democratic politicians and said, hey, you want to come on the air? And I never hear anything back. I call press secretaries. I never hear anything back. But all of a sudden, some right-wing news outlet that calls them idiots 5 seconds before they're on the air, and then 5 seconds after they're off the air calls up, they're like, I'll be there tomorrow. And you're like, oh my God, you guys just don't get it. I don't know how you break this curse and to give Republicans and the right wing credit. This was a freaking long game. And because the Democrats just never wanted to acknowledge, and I've been here for 15 freaking years. For 15 years, I've been doing this show. And for 15 years, I've been saying, you guys better do something about this. And for 15 years, the Democrats go, oh, Matt, pat me on the head. Oh, Matt, you simpleton. You simple little man. You don't know it. You're a radio host. What the hell do you know? I don't know. All I can know is this, is you guys are in a freaking mess right now. And I don't know how you get out of it. I will say, go to Blue Sky. Go to Blue Sky. Help out Cliff Schechter. Clearly, I don't think you can trust Facebook anymore. Facebook, Instagram, and it's the three of them. It's Facebook, Instagram, and Threads. You can't trust any of them anymore. I think it's clear that they're gone as well. 952-946-6205, 952-946-6205. I will I'll tell you what. Let me. One thing I want to just really quick mention here: the Arizona Democratic U.S. senators and Governor Katie Hobbs are joining Republicans in backing legislation that will require federal officials to jail immigrants, including asylum seekers and DACA recipients, for nonviolent crimes like shoplifting, even before they've been proven guilty. Under the Laken-Riley Act, the U.S. Department of Homeland Security would be forced to detain people without citizenship status who are accused of or charged with or convicted of burglary, theft, larceny, or shoplifting. This has to do with the Georgia nursing student who was killed by a Venezuelan immigrant. They basically they're acting like this has to happen. Now, once again, you want existence. First of all, what happened to Laken-Riley is tragic and horrible, and yes, but I want to make sure we understand. Every day in this country, Black, Hispanic, Native American, white, poor white people are killed left and right. They die of starvation. They die of being exposed to the elements. They die of treatable medical conditions. They're dead because of the epidemic of gun violence in this country. And there's no one out there putting their names on bills to try to get this stuff fixed. And I don't mind you doing stuff to try to help out Laken-Riley. I don't know if this is necessarily the right path. But all these people are pounding on their chest because they're thinking of Laken-Riley. And great. Fine. I mean, it's nice she has a bit of a legacy of a tragedy that happened. But tragedy is happening all around us. And you guys pick and choose which tragedies to basically use for your own personal goals. Meanwhile, there are people who are dying who are not, frankly, white people. And you guys could care less. When are we going to get the bills named after those people? We need them. It's the Matt McNeil Show. Do you have a vehicle you no longer need? Are you a little cash strapped? Rudy Luther Toyota will pay you for your used vehicle. It's really simple. Head to rudyluthertoyota.com, answer a few simple questions, and Rudy Luther Toyota will get you an instant offer. Then they will set up an appointment, and after a quick verification, they will handle all the paperwork and coordinate getting you your check. It's that simple. It's a fast way for you to get rid of the vehicle you no longer need, putting money in your hands. For more information, head to rudyluthertoyota.com. That's rudyluthertoyota.com.
8 years ago, over 100,000 Minnesotans marched to the state capitol, standing together to defend women's rights, immigrants' rights, queer rights, and justice for all. Now, with our freedoms face new threats under an incoming administration built on oppression and divisiveness, it's time to stand together again. Join the People's March on January 18th at the Minnesota State Capitol. Together, we'll send a clear and unmistakable message. We will not go back. Building on the legacy of the Women's March Minnesota, this year's event will include a march to the Capitol and a rally. You'll connect with Minnesota organizations working to protect our rights. These organizations need your support, not just now, but over the next 4 years and beyond. The weather may be cold, but our commitment is unbreakable. The stakes are too high to stay silent. Let's show the strength of our voices as we fight for Minnesota's future. Again, that's the People's March on Saturday, January 18th at the state capitol. Details at womensmarchmn.com.
Eat Local Minnesota is a great way to find locally owned Minnesota restaurants and food purveyors. You'll find high-quality food and unique eating experiences with dishes from around the world. Just visit eatlocalminnesota.com for your next meal. Bruner Supper Club invites you to Maggie's Lounge, an exciting new bar lounge. It's open Wednesdays through Sundays beginning at 4:30 for cocktails and light fare. And you don't need a ticket to enjoy the great atmosphere of Maggie's. So stop by Crooner Supper Club off Moore Lake and Highway 65 for dinner, drinks, and live music from both big-name local and national artists. Cafe Latte combines a cafe dining experience with gourmet quality food. Plus, you can still do online ordering and takeout along with gift cards. Just go to cafelatte.com and choose from their ever-changing selection of award-winning salads, sandwiches, and soups. Cafe Latte is located off Victoria and Grand and online at cafelatte.com.
Start the new year with nonstop laughs at Brave New Workshop's Big Christmas Energy. This holiday tradition, now running through January, is packed with sketches and songs to keep the laughs going. Enjoy new sketches and perennial favorites, including their unforgettable take on the 12 Days of Christmas. Whether you're recovering from awkward holiday conversations or just looking for a good time, Big Christmas Energy will leave you smiling. Catch Big Christmas Energy Thursdays through Saturdays in January at Brave New Workshop in Minneapolis. Get tickets at bravenewworkshop.org.
It is the Matt McNeil Show. By the way, how about some good news in LA here? The LA mayor says the Hollywood Hills fire is now fully contained. This was the Sunset Fire. Was that the Sunset Fire? Yeah, one of the 5 that was was burning there. That was burning has been fully contained thanks to the bravery and collaboration of the LA Fire Department. She said the post on Twitter, adding, if you're returning home, please drive slowly and watch the road. Firefighters are still working on some damaged areas. Cal website still showing the fire as being uncontained. We've reached out to confirm, but once again, the mayor is saying one of the fires. Now, I believe this was one of the minor fires, but still, good news is good news. It just, yeah. This story is coming from the BBC. A woman who rescued sacred scrolls from a synagogue destroyed in the LA fires has told the BBC she would have done everything possible to rescue them. Good for her. Ruth Berman Harris was the cantor at Pasadena Jewish Temple and Center, which was destroyed by the Eaton fire. Before the fire took hold, she managed to rescue the Torah scrolls, the sacred objects that are read during prayer services throughout the year. Good for her. That I'm glad you're safe. I mean, yeah, I want to be careful here. I don't want people jumping into burning houses. That's a dangerous thing. But in this case, a good story there. Still, just the chaos of LA right now. It's just hard to comprehend. I mean, half the south side of Chicago being on fire, the entire, everything from SeaTac to the downtown being on fire in Seattle. I mean, dear Lord. The entire southern Minneapolis.
Yeah, I saw an overlay. It was from one of the Duluth, Minnesota TV stations. The entire city would be gone if that fire had happened in Duluth.
In Duluth? Yeah. All right. That's crazy, man. That is absolutely insane. And, it's, frankly, I mean, we should mention Duluth is one of those cities. If you have not been up there, it's up on Lake Superior. If they all of a sudden had like extremely dry conditions and high winds, they could be in big trouble up there too. They've had forest fires that have been near to Duluth before. So 952-946-6205. All right. So one of the things with the shooting of the CEO from United Healthcare, like I said, there was a lot of people applauding the guy. You don't murder people in the street. You just don't. It does bring up the question of how is United Healthcare and other people treating their customers. And frankly, the reality is they don't treat them very well. This story today is disturbing. A breast cancer surgeon had to scrub out mid-surgery to call United Healthcare representative because the insurance giant questioned whether the procedure she was in the middle of performing was really necessary. Dr. Elizabeth Potter posted her story on Instagram this week. The post had gotten more than 221,000 likes. Still wearing her scrub cap, Dr. Potter began the video saying it's 2025 and navigating insurance has somehow just gotten worse. She continued saying that while performing a deep inferior epiglastic perforator or deep breast reconstruction for a cancer patient, I got a phone call from an operating room saying that United Healthcare wanted me to call them about one of the patients who was having surgery today, who's actually asleep having surgery. And, I had to call right now, so I scrubbed out. So let's make sure we understand that. The healthcare companies do not allow for, if a doctor is in surgery, for them to call them back later. No, you call us now. That sort of mentality. Wow. So this doctor who is trying to help this patient has to leave the operating room to make a phone call to United Health. So I scrubbed out of my case. I called United Healthcare, and the gentleman said he needed some information about her, wanted to know her diagnosis, whether her inpatient stay should be justified. And I was like, do you understand this? She's asleep right now, and she has breast cancer. And the gentleman said, actually, I don't. That's a different department, and I would know that that would know that information. And I was like, well, she does need to stay overnight tonight, and you have all the information with you because I got approval for the surgery, and I need to go back and be with the patient now. But yeah, it's out of control. Insurance is out of control. I have no other words. The trend is disturbing. There is no room in healthcare where the pressure of insurance isn't felt by both patients and doctors, not even the operating room, when we will say enough is enough and push back. I'd say now this is already out of hand. United Healthcare was in the news last month after the CEO, Brian Thompson, was hunted down and killed in Midtown Manhattan. Police recovered the bullets at the scene that read delay, deny, defend, with rallying cry aimed at the insurance industry's practices. Arrested and charged with the murder is Luigi Maggioni, who has expressed disdain for corporate America, and particularly the healthcare industry. Backlash against the industry was immediate, with many people celebrating the death of the CEO. I'm not going to do that. You don't murder people in the street. But we've got some big freaking problems here in our healthcare industry. And if this isn't a big, massive red flag, I don't know what is. I don't know what is. When my daughter, there was an accident with my daughter. She had to go to be taken by emergency over to the Children's Hospital in St. Paul, and where they had specialists, and she had to get over. Now, I want to make sure this was years ago. She's fine. She's recovered completely. No problem there. But I will never forget, I got there. One of us could ride in the ambulance. My wife jumped in the ambulance with my daughter. I was in the car flying across the metro area over to St. Paul to get to the hospital. I got there, and I'm like, well, where's my wife? My wife, as my child was being seen by a doctor, had been pulled aside. Now, this was probably, I think it was right after the Affordable Care Act. Probably right after the Affordable Care Act. My wife had been pulled aside. She was in a room with an insurance person, and my wife described. She goes, "We get in there, and this woman pulls us aside. She goes, I know you're really, really concerned. We're going to get you in there right now, but we need a credit card right now." She says, "Why do you need a credit card? I got health insurance." Here's my answer. Well, in case the health insurance agency doesn't want to pay. She goes, they're going to pay. So, well, that's great. Can we just still have that credit card? And she was not, I mean, she got the serious impression at that point that they would have taken my daughter out of the room and chucked her on the street if not for her giving her credit card at that point. Yeah, our healthcare industry, and we have good insurance too. And that is the way you get treated nowadays. They've got some real serious freaking problems. But good news, nothing will change with Donald Trump in office. Nothing at all. Chicago, Seattle, talk to you tomorrow. Minneapolis, St. Paul, hour 2 up next.
Hey, it's Patrick. Your friends and family may be gone now, but the messes that were left behind on your carpets, rugs, upholstery, and more remain. That's why you need to call My Cleaning Heroes at Zero Res and get 2024 out of your house for good. That's why to start the new year, Zero Res is offering 24% off all cleaning services for the month of January. That's 24% off carpets, tiles, rugs, upholstery, any surface in your home, and don't forget about your air ducts. Call Zero Res right now at 952-ZERO-RES or visit ZeroResMinnesota.com and ask for the AM 950 special. But Zero Res isn't just good for cleaning up the post-holiday messes at home. They can make your business look great too. Zero
Metro right now. Nothing that major. If you're heading up north, it's a little bit more pronounced as you get north. Say about Rush City heading up to Duluth, you're going to see a little bit more. But it's moving fairly quickly. So unless you're there right now, which drive safe, everyone, if you are. But we're actually in a little pocket where it's not snowing right now. But all right, fine. Cross country season sucks this year. All right. But yeah, a little light snow, nothing major. It's gonna, grease up the works. You're gonna have a little bit of a slower drive. Drive safe, head home today. Be careful on those roadways. Make sure you stay for me and Robert Pilot, Native Roots Radio. That's coming up in just about an hour from right now on AM 950. So enjoy. Patrick, one of our favorite people ever, is back in the news again. Mike Lindell.
I was actually about to guess that was who you were going to bring up.
Well, it's you and I, we've got this mostly hate, okay, just a smidge of love relationship with him. We have tried our best. Patrick, you have been in that chair listening to me for years. Mike, for God's sakes, apologize. Grovel even. Maybe they'll let you off the hook. You remember all those times I said that, right?
Yes, I do.
He never took us up on it. Ugh. And I have said this, I truly do feel sorry for his employees at MyPillow, because there are a lot of people that work down there that are not going to have their job eventually before too long. They basically, it's not going well. MyPillow needs to settle its $777,000 tab with shipping company DHL, says a Hennepin County judge. The Minnesota-based pillow maker owned by Mark Lindell. Oh, God. We still have the Mike Lindell cutout from around here. I used to kiss every once in a while. Oh, that sweet, sweet mustache. Ah, no, it's a cutout. Come on. The Minnesota-based pillow maker owned by Mike Lindell made only 2 payments towards a payment plan that began in April. Court records show MyPillow then missed a $550,000 settlement payment in October as part of a settlement deal. The company is now liable for the full amount due instead of the lower amount there. Yeah, you could see this cab coming down the street. You just could. Instead of the lower settlement sum, Judge Susan Burke affirmed the settlement amount and filed an order at the end of December requiring the payment of $777,730. The case is one of several. The company and its CEO are entangled in the company, the company of the financial trouble almost 4 years after major retailers started pulling MyPillow from the shelves over Lindell's support of Trump unfounded claims of an election fraud. MyPillow and Lindell sued several merchant cash advance companies late last year over high interest rate loans. So you went to a loan shark, you say? Well, I don't know if those are technically loan sharks, but yeah. It's like, I mean, they're kind of like payday lenders, aren't they? You went to a payday lender? All right. Those suits described MyPillow as cash-strapped business and needed funds quickly. Those cases followed eviction filings over late rent. 3 defamation cases related on unproven claims of fraud in the 2020 election are still pending in federal courts. They involve both Lindell and MyPillow. The jury trial is scheduled to begin June 2nd in the case brought by Eric Coomer, a former Dominion Voting Systems employee who Lindell called a traitor and a disgusting person. According to a deposition, Coomer says he received death threats and is being targeted after being targeted by Lindell. Dominion is seeking a $1.3 billion judgment at Lindell's attacks on the security of its voting machines. That case has not reached trial this year, with filing deadlines set for the end of August. And Smartmatic has argued Lindell should be held in contempt of court for failing to come up with the requested documents. Lindell is still seeking summary judgment in his favor at a January 28th hearing and wrote in a recent filing, I have never and did never make any statements about Smartmatic that I did not believe was truthful based on the data facts and the third-party experts I spoke to, as well as my own personal research involving deviations on electric data. Okay, Mike, as a person that does this sort of thing, let me explain something to you, okay? I can go read a fake story, and if I go out and repeat the fake story, like Mark Zuckerberg is a lizard man, well then, and basically people hear my story and then start threatening lizard man Mark Zuckerberg, which, by the way, unlike Facebook, Threads, and Instagram, we actually have fact checkers. He is not a lizard man. So no one attacked the lizard man. I mean, Mark Zuckerberg. No one attacked him. No one should. No one should. For goodness sakes. Come on. Decorum, people. But if I was to do that, guess what? I'd be so much susceptible. You know, that whole Rudy Giuliani thing where he's like, you're making me look like a dog. You know? I would have. Did you see that part with Giuliani where he was so upset with the courtroom, the court sketch artist, because he said he made him look like a rabid dog? And I would have paid a lot of money for the next sketch artist piece to be a picture of a dog. And Giuliani, it's a dog. Oh, it's not gone well for him, even though he said, well, I thought it was true. You can't just do that, man. Lindell is also still on the hook for $5 million for his Prove Mike Wrong contest. Oh God, I forgot completely about that one. You remember he was at the Corn Palace, I believe it was, in South Dakota. He went to the Corn Palace and he had his big thing and said, if anybody can come up here and prove me wrong, then I'll pay you money. And the guy's like, well, that's not right. That's just random numbers. And he's like, oh no, it's not. You didn't prove me wrong. And after multiple lawsuits, he still owes the guy $5 million. I'm paraphrasing, but it's pretty close to the story there. The software developer found the data he was offering was not from the election. The federal judge upheld the arbitration award last year. Lindell is appealing that case to the 8th Circuit Court of Appeals. I don't think, hey, you're not Trump. You don't have Alito on speed dial saying, make sure this case goes away. Sammy, you need to make sure this case goes away. Sure, no one's going to tell the media that I'm talking to a Supreme Court justice. Yeah. Oh, Mike. I wish, Mike, you would have listened to me and the honest advice I gave you, dude. Seriously, that I said, what we kept saying was, Mike, either come on out with this definitive proof, have the press conference saying, here it is, this is what I've been told, and let the chips fall, or beg for forgiveness, call for a press conference and beg for forgiveness. Maybe they'll let you off the hook. And time again, Mike Lindell did not take our advice and instead just kept playing this game. And now he's, once again, $5 million to the one guy, $770,000 rather to DHL, I think it was. He's, in lawsuits with shady loan people. And then he's got, a few $1 billion worth of lawsuits dangling over his head. At this point, has Trump made him his the Secretary of Health and Human Services or something? I don't know. 952-946-6205, 952-946-6205 is the phone number. It should be known once again, and I'm going to stand by this, and I'm actually feeling encouraged because a lot of Democrats have actually reached out to me in the last 24 hours after I went on my little rant about, okay, DFL, it's time for scorched earth, right? Because yesterday, if you didn't hear the story, the Minnesota Reformer had this, and I was stunned this morning, stunned that hardly any other news outlets had covered this story, that the Republican leader in the House, DeMuth, I'm not calling her the speaker because she's not the speaker, she's the Republican leader. DeMuth basically said that they are going to refuse to seat Brad Tabke, even if the court says, no, he won the seat fair and square. And I said, okay, at this point, it's scorched earth. Whatever plans, whatever you had together, you should basically sit out the election or sit out the first day of the House session, let them not get to a quorum. Speaker, Secretary of State Simon will basically, I'm pretty sure is going to come on out because the Constitution is pretty clear that you need to have 68 people there to have a quorum to be able to do anything. And so the Democrats should just not even go to the Capitol. That includes you, moderate Democrats. Don't even, because they don't want to help you. And as much as they're sitting there talking about, come on, you're like us. We're not that far away. You're much closer to us than you are to those far lefties from the Twin Cities metro area. Those people. They're telling you this, but they're not your friend. They're not going to let you sit with them at the lunch table, okay? They're not going to not campaign against you. As a matter of fact, I'm going to let you know they're probably going to campaign against you about the most liberal Democrat and show a picture of you dancing with Nancy Pelosi in San Francisco, man. You can't be this stupid. You've got one team. Stay with your team. Don't in the middle of a game all of a sudden switch jerseys and then act like I was just trying to be the best sportsman I could. Don't do that. So if they're not going to seat Tabke, fine. What you do is this. You don't even go to the St. Paul for 2 weeks. You don't even go to St. Paul for 2 weeks. You basically don't allow them to have a quorum. You let that special election happen in the one seat, hopefully not with the idiot that basically didn't even live in the district when he basically was running for the district. Find somebody else. Get that election done. You have your tie, and you basically look at them and said, if you don't seat Tabke, we're going to pick 5 Republicans and refuse to seat them. And they're going to sit there and like, there's no question in those elections. And we'll say, well, in your mind, there isn't. In our mind, there is. We're going to refuse to seat these 5 Republicans. And then they'll say, well, the courts will decide. And they say, funny story. The courts decided on Tabke and you decided to ignore that. So we're just basically doing the same thing you're doing. See and seen. If they want to go scorched earth, they're going to go scorched earth. And by the way, once again, I want to repeat again, the truth is that I cannot wait till the end of session when Republicans are desperate to get one Democrat to vote along with them on their budget and act as if, why aren't you guys working with us? They are spraying gasoline and flicking matches left and right. And if you Democrats are too stupid to realize what's really at stake here, then I can't help you. Now, Hortman, I 100%, dear God, I love Melissa Hortman. She's good. What I'm concerned about is the rope-a-dope fool moderate Democrats who are like, well, they said I could come hang out at their jacuzzi with them one night. They bought me a steak dinner. My goodness, how could they be bad guys? I think we should just give them a quorum, and this is what the government wants. No, they don't. They don't want them. There's a tie. They didn't give them power. They gave them a tie. And this is the worst thing that could have happened to the Republicans because it requires them to work civilly with the other side, something they're incapable of doing. They didn't, and I want to repeat this to the moderate Democrats. The people of Minnesota did not give them the Minnesota House. They gave them a tie. And Melissa Hortman's tried to work with DeMuth on this thing, but they're deciding to go scorched earth. Well, fine. You can go scorched earth too. And I'm sure some Republican is going to get some guy bankrolling saying, I bankrolled your campaign, but you need to get in there and do something. You guys got to have a spine. You guys got to have a spine. As a matter of fact, it's really interesting the way that the news media is already projecting the Republicans as the spurned lovers. How could those Democrats turn their back on them? No, it's a tie. It's a tie. It's a tie. They have to work with us. They've decided they don't want to. If you're too stupid to realize that, I can't help you. But maybe then you just leave the party, become an independent right now. We'll have a primary with a real Democrat the next time around. You can campaign without any of the party, and we'll do that. But you guys, you have to realize have you seen who they have in the Republican Party in the House? Do you know what committee hearings we're going to have over there? I think we should execute transgender people immediately. And they're going to bring people in to tell you how they're going to bring 20 people in. And then one person that is there to say, my God, is this a crime against humanity? They're going to say, we don't have time for your liberal jibber jabber. Is that what you really want? You have a path to force their hand. Use it. You just can't be cowards. And you can't be trying to win the consolation prize. Don't go. Don't go. Let them sit there and they're going to hum. How dare the Democrats not show up? No, you guys are the ones who basically gone scorched earth. You're the ones who've gone scorched earth. You're the ones who have now said you're not going to sit a legitimately elected House member. The decency is out the door. So you can either sit there and let them spray gasoline all over you and flick matches on you, or you can go grab a few gas cans yourselves. I would rather have politicians who didn't sit there on fire saying, well, we should try harder next time, versus saying, hey, I got your counterpoint right here. This is to a point, as a guy that talks about politics, this is going to be so much fun to watch, because this is going to be, but it takes the Democrats being united. And frankly, right now, I think there are just too many Democrats who will throw their own party under the bus and then act as if they did something noble. We'll have to see. 952-946-6205, 952-946-6205. We'll take a break, come on back. I'm going to spend a good chunk of the rest of the show. Okay, the 94 highway thing. All right, I got to get to this. There's the thing in the Reformer I got to talk about. It is the Matt McNeil Show.
Turn to Auto Technical with your vehicle donation. We have families waiting for a car. You know, over 85% of unemployed are successful in finding and keeping a job if they have dependable transportation. A car plus a job equals a life changed. 612-919-5526. We have families waiting for a car. 919-5526 or autotech.org.
Are you struggling with cognitive decline, post-COVID brain fog, ADHD, concussion, tremors from Parkinson's, mental health issues, or simply striving to optimize your brain's potential? Hypercharge Wellness Brain Health specifically offers cutting-edge modalities including quantitative EEG, transcranial laser, red light therapy, all which work holistically, amplifying focus and cognitive functions. Utilizing these modalities in tandem enhances neural activities, optimizes the brain's electrical patterns, reduces anxiety, and enhances relaxation, ensuring a comprehensive approach to brain health optimization. All are invited to experience this life-changing journey towards achieving optimal cognitive and emotional well-being. Call or schedule online your free Hypercharge Wellness introductory session valued at $200 today. This is your opportunity to feel the difference for yourself. No matter where you are in the Twin Cities, there's a convenient location near you. Visit hyperchargeclinic.com now. Check out our 5-star reviews on our website. That's hyperchargeclinic.com. Hypercharge is hope.
Would you let animals pick your insurance? Do you really need to experience mayhem to get the best rates? Or how about a celebrity quarterback or fake university saving you money? There's a lot of marketing stunts when it comes to insurance, but what you really need is someone looking out for you. Call Array Insurance, and they will work hard to find you the best insurance coverage and rates. So avoid gimmicks and call Cheryl at Array, 763-504-3067 or arrayinsurance.com. Array Insurance, working hard for you.
Seward Co-op offers convenient grab-and-go options as well as hot bars and salad bars at both the Friendship and our newly remodeled Franklin store. Breakfast items are available daily until 11 a.m. and brunch is served all day every Sunday. Our weekly lunch and dinner menus highlight culinary traditions and cuisines from around the world. We offer vegan, vegetarian, and gluten-free items every day. 90% of the ingredients used are from organic, local, and small-scale producers whenever possible. Learn more at seward.coop.
If all of the kings had their queens on the throne, we would pop champagne and raise a toast to all of the queens.
AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota, the Matt McNeil Show. All right, so I want to bring up a story here. It's a local story in the Twin Cities. But it's a story which I have, I think I have expressed a lot of issues with, primarily because of something that's kind of universal with Democrats. And that is that they are dreamers sometimes. And I like being a dreamer sometimes. I do. And you have these dreams that, wouldn't it be great if this happened? Oh my God. It would be so awesome. Yeah. But the reality is trying to get stuff done versus, utopian made up unicorn world. There's a difference there. And there is this idea that has been floated. And it got floated by people after we were trying to figure out how to reconnect the Rondo neighborhood, which, like a lot of communities in the Twin Cities, as well as world and nationwide, when the interstate system was built, they basically went right through the black communities and wiped them out or separated them with a major highway. that's the way they did. I mean, if you look at 35W on the north side of Minneapolis, they with a scalpel basically went after every black building up there as they could, every black neighborhood they could to tear that out. And that's why it weaves like it does. It really was an unfortunate element of our history. And the idea of a land bridge over Interstate 94 in the St. Paul Midway area to connect the old Rondo neighborhood, that's a good idea. I like that idea. But then suddenly there came this idea, this notion, this thought process that was being put forward by these groups that we should rip out Interstate 94, replace it with a boulevard from downtown St. Paul basically to Minneapolis, and that everyone's life would be so much better. Now, once again, in a past radio life, I was a traffic reporter. I've looked at traffic patterns and stuff like this. There's a few problems with this. And it really falls into three categories. One, what are you doing with all the cars that currently use 94? Because there doesn't seem to be a lot of thought process by these people that want to replace this highway with a boulevard about where do the 160,000 cars that use it on a daily basis go when it's a boulevard. Two is cost. And initially, they were thinking they might be able to do this for $1 billion to rip out an interstate and build a highway, and that's all it would cost. And I couldn't laugh harder. That is so grossly under counting how much this would cost. It's hilarious, actually. I mean, you're not serious if you really think it's only going to get to $2 billion. Now they're saying $2 billion. I'll get to that here in a second. But their initial thing was $1 billion. There was no way. And when I wrote an article about this. My cheapest estimate was 60 to 65 billion. And I still think I was grossly undercounting a lot of costs. Absolutely. The third is this misunderstood idea that these people have that they can just engineer society the way they want it to be. That basically no one will need a car anymore, Matt. They're not going to go get their $300,000 a year architect job anymore. No, they're going to open up a fruit stand and they're going to sell fruit to the neighborhood. And they're going to be so much happier. Okay, regardless of whether or not we can have discussions about what's good on transportation policy. And as a matter of fact, let me make sure I say this as well before I say anything else. I believe in good mass transit. And we are woefully inadequate in this Twin Cities about mass transit. We need to get more mass transit and more mass transit built. Absolutely. We need to get, more green technology, whether that's electric cars, whether that is, hybrid cars, electric buses. We need more of that. We already have one of the greatest bike trails and public trails systems in the world. We are consistently ranked as one of the best biking cities on the planet, which is remarkable. So we already have done a lot there. There are some things we can do. But I am not dumb enough to turn off my mind. I mean, as much as I want to dream like the next guy, what are you doing with the 160,000 cars that use the highway every day? What are you doing about what this is going to actually cost? What are you doing that doesn't require a major societal re-engineering? Because that generally doesn't work. Now you're getting into communist country kind of territory, and I am not for that. And you can sit there and paint your ideas as glibly and as rosy as you want to. The reality is you're also missing the other point that this just seems to be selfish people wanting to increase their own property values at the expense of everyone else in the city, especially where these other roads where the traffic's going to have to go to, which are going to become a freaking nightmare, under this idea, and you sell this with the idea that you're going to help reintroduce a black community on this boulevard, when, let's just be honest about it, that will never happen, because the way developers work, they will price out the minority communities and turn it into white guy central, and that's just what happens. If all of a sudden you built up a high value property, condo, apartment complexes on there, they would price out most of the minority community. There's not going to be, this is not how you bring back the Rondo neighborhood, by basically gentrifying the entire freaking place and turning it into, a lily white suburb in the heart of the city. So I bring all this up because one of the individuals who has been a big advocate of this wrote an article in the Minnesota Reformer. And when I'm going to take a break, when I come on back, I'm going to go through some of these points here, and just I'm just going to point out reality and how your dreams of re-engineering society are not realistic, dude. They're just not. We'll take a break. Come on back. 952-946-6205, 952-946-6205. It is the Matt McNeil Show on your Thursday.
J&S Bean Factory is a native-owned, community-supported, cozy, artsy coffee shop which offers roasted on-site beans, live music, and baked goods. Relax in the beautiful outside patio. City Pages writes, voted top 10 coffee shops. Tucked into a quiet corner of St. Paul's Highland Park neighborhood, this coffee shop roasts beans on-site from the best coffee-growing countries in the world. Located at 1518 Randolph Avenue, St. Paul. The good stuff.
Minnesotans are hardy. We don't let snow or ice get in our way. We have places to go. So making sure your vehicle is in prime shape for winter driving is so important. Take your vehicle to Rudy Luther Toyota for all your service needs. I was just there. I got my oil and filters replaced, and they did a complete safety check to make sure my vehicle can tackle winter. And they service all makes and models of vehicles. Head to RudyLutherToyota.com and use their super easy Toyota service schedule to set up your service appointment today. Rudy Luther Toyota on the southeast corner of 394 and 169 in Golden Valley.
You may not think of it, but winter is a great time to take care of those exterior home projects. This is Chad, owner of AM 950 for Snap Construction. Most people wait until the warmer months for their exterior home projects, but labor costs are actually lowest in the winter. And that's true for the contractor I trust, Snap Construction. Arguably the most well-reviewed exterior contractor and insulation contractor in the metro. Are you noticing ice dams on your house? Or is your furnace constantly running and you're still not comfortable? In addition to your exterior home projects, winter is also a great time to get your insulation checked with a free energy audit from Snap Construction. The average cost to upgrade your insulation is oftentimes less than a new furnace. Plus, there are rebates available from your energy provider when you upgrade your insulation. As always, Snap Construction stands by their work with a lifetime craftsmanship warranty. So don't wait for prices to rise in the warmer months. Get a free estimate now by calling 612-333-SNAP, 612-333-SNAP, or go to snapconstruction.com.
All of us want to make a difference. As veterans, we committed to protect our country. We served and sacrificed for the things that mattered most. Those experiences shaped our lives. Now we're husbands, wives, parents, and friends. And sometimes we forget that the biggest challenge can be asking for support. The Veterans Crisis Line is here for veterans. Dial 1-800-273-8255 and press 1. It matters.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Brett Johnson. Look for light snow throughout today with a high near 25. Tonight, partly cloudy with a low around 17. And Friday, partly sunny with a high around 23. Tired of right-wing social media? AM 950 is now on Blue Sky, the progressive alternative. Sign up for Blue Sky, search for AM 950 Radio, and follow us for news and programming you can trust. Again, that's AM 950 Radio on Blue Sky.
AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota, the Matt McNeil Show. So once again, I'm going to repeat this because I already know people are going to, he didn't say that. I'm going to repeat this. I'm 100% for better mass transportation. I like green cars. I like electric cars. I like hybrid cars. I do like the idea of land bridges across the Rondo neighborhoods. As a matter of fact, I think land bridges across most of our highways wouldn't be the worst idea. I think it would basically create a different kind of environment. That's for sure. But I'm also not going to blindly, put fingers in my ears, close my eyes, and scream, "I can't hear you! I can't hear you!" when problems with my plan come to fruition. Now, I am going to read, and then I'll respond to parts of this story from the Minnesota Reformer. The Minnesota Department of Transportation announced late last year they were rejecting a proposal to turn 94 into a boulevard between Minneapolis and St. Paul. The proposal arose with a grassroots support from residents and community groups as part of a MnDOT's Rethinking 94, which is the first comprehensive review of the freeway since it was built in the 1960s. MnDOT's plan would continue to elevate 4 options: maintaining the current freeway, adding bus shoulders, or rebuilding it with 3 or 4 lanes with easy pass, all preserving the highway rather than transforming it. No final decision has been made. In any case, the decision is not made up to the MnDOT and Governor Tim Walz, Minnesota legislature, and ultimately the people who elect him will have the final say. So it's important when we keep fighting to change the status quo that prioritizes cars over people. Walz and the legislature should mandate that MnDOT keep studying highway removal as a viable option, because it is. So once again, what has happened has happened. When you say lines, we have to get rid of cars over people. You're going down the social engineering route. And yeah, I don't even think enough Democrats are going to be on board with that. Plus the fact, by the way, anything you're saying now, have you seen what the House is going to be like? They're not going to get anything passed. Our proposal to fill the highway trench as wide as a football field and spanning 2 downtowns and create a boulevard has compelling benefits and strong community and jurisdictional support, warranting a continued evaluation in the next phase of the process. Above all else, people, especially those not living along the highways, tell me they're concerned about traffic, and it's an understandable concern. On a more basic level, this fear points to America's deep-seated love affair with the automobile. Owning a car, pushed by car companies and pop culture and enabled by urban planners and transportation agencies, has come to represent personal freedom. It also shows how cars dominate transportation investments, leaving many with little option but to drive to reach opportunities and daily needs. Okay, you are really... You have a lot of people that live in Eden Prairie. I'm in Eden Prairie right now. They need a car to get into work. You're trying to put the genie back in the bottle here. And what it seems like you guys are really doing is trying to bring in a very European style transportation system and apply it to the United States when it's not built to be able to do this. This is not like just basically repaving a road and you're done with it. We have people that we have a society, and it's not just the Twin Cities, it's pretty much everywhere, where people live hours away, and in some cases hours away, in some cases 30 minutes away. In some cases they live in St. Paul and they work in Minneapolis, or they live in Minneapolis, they work in St. Paul. But we have people that need cars. The clever verbiage here, pushed by car companies and pop culture and enabled by urban planners and transportation agencies, has come to represent personal freedom. It also shows how cars dominate transportation investments, leaving many with little option but to drive each opportunities and daily needs. Yeah, this has been this way for a while now. I was always amazed when I saw the video of San Francisco right before the earthquake and how many cars were on the street then. The second basically people in this country could get cars, they loved them. And yeah, we actually built the interstate system, granted with a very racist agenda, to get people around this country faster. This is kind of this idea of that there's a traffic problem, especially those not living along the highways tell me they're concerned about traffic, and it's an understandable concern. But then you basically kind of, oh, well, this is just, cars are just something that we've been convinced we need. Well, no, if you live in Eden Prairie, you need a car. Are you saying that people need to move away from their houses in the suburbs and they have to move into, an apartment with their 3 kids in the cities so that we can fulfill this societal engineering? Your worst fears about traffic are overstated compared to the potential benefits highway removal could bring for equity, economic revitalization, community health, and our environment. And once again, I want to make sure I reiterate, for some. Now, this idea you're selling it as a rebuilding of the Rondo neighborhood, once again, my gut feeling is if we actually did do this, that the land speculators would come on in and gentrify the entire area, and basically the minority communities would be further away from coming back to Rondo neighborhood than they would. As a matter of fact, there'd be a bunch of white people walking around going, I live in Rondo shirts. That's where you'd have. So, it is the equity thing. Yeah, I can understand it, but economic revitalization for you in your mind, community health for your community at the expense of all the other communities that are going to have to pick up all this traffic, and our environment. You're not going to stop the use of cars, dude. So all you're doing is saying, well, we're going to move all this traffic somewhere else and they can have the environmental problems. We're not going to have it. And you want to know the truth is, there's one point I would like to make. If you guys just had that argument, you know what? We've done our time, fill in the ditch, put the traffic somewhere else. At least it's a more honest approach, and it's actually it shows me you understand the problem more. That the traffic is not going to go away. You can't just wish it away. You're not going to be able to wish it away for 20 years, for goodness sakes. It just is not going to happen. But you're basically saying, we understand that we're not going to be able to get rid of the traffic. We've done our time. It needs to move to the 694, 494 loop and give us back this road. At least I would still disagree with that, but at least it would be, I think, a more honest argument, because when you say it's like we're making the environment better, unless you basically tell everyone, no, tomorrow you have to turn your gas car in and you can't use any cars anymore, you're just shifting this to another community. That's all you're doing. Then comes the idyllic sell. Imagine a tree-lined boulevard where neighbors can easily cross between Rondo and Frogtown, or Cedar Riverside and Seward, where the restored housing and local businesses thrive alongside a transportation infrastructure that meets the way the Minnesota's moved, rather than concrete barriers splitting our cities. This reimagined corridor would become a vibrant spine connecting our 2 downtowns, transforming a space designed to move cars into one designed for people to live and work together, and gather, rather, I should say. It's going to be packed with traffic. You do understand that. And people running traffic lights, and it's going to be, it's, do you think there are people who are going to bring back horse and carts too? Is that what's going to be? It's like, I don't have a semi anymore. I've just got a bike. No, that's not how it works, man. You try to paint this rosy picture of, look, this is going to be great. But once again, you're not going to stop the traffic. You're just shifting it to someone else. So this is about you basically making sure your property values in your neighborhood gets improved at the expense of other people's property values in their neighborhoods. And that's what it is. For communities along the highway, especially low-income and communities of color, the benefits are obvious. You expect your experience health, environmental, economic harms of the past 70 years. This is an unprecedented moment where you have a shot at doing something new. This will be a rare opportunity to right these harms and connect the communities. Otherwise, the highway and all of its attendant problems continues as in perpetuality. Here's the problem I will say with that. Once again, you're basically creating a high-end neighborhood situation on the boulevard, which is going to price out any minority populations. As a matter of fact, any minority populations you have there, they're going to be long gone. They're going to get priced out very quickly. The second you announce this project, people will start coming in and buying up properties and evicting them because they're going to build townhomes and condos for wealthier people. I mean, your ideas, your dream here of revitalizing the Rondo community is good. But at the same time, you also are ignoring how society works and how land speculation works. And if you're going to do this, it's a boulevard. It's going to be more like Summit Avenue than it is going to be like University Avenue. Okay? It just is. And so your idea of it's just going to rebuild the minority communities ignores the fact that it's probably going to price out most of the minorities that are already still there. The rest of the metro, this isn't about losing mobility choices. It's about gaining the freedom of thousands of dollars by reducing car dependence when convenient transit and safer bike routes become real options in a denser and a better connected urban core. It's freaking winter, bike trail, dude. You want someone on a bike today to bike from Eden Prairie to St. Paul for work? There are people in Eden Prairie that work in St. Paul, man. It's about gaining freedom to save thousands of dollars by reducing car dependence when convenient transit. What convenient transit? Do you know if I want to go from Eden Prairie over to St. Paul, I got to take a bus. I probably got to take Southwest Transit lines into Minneapolis and jump on either the light rail line or a bus to take me over to St. Paul. Convenient, that's like an hour and 10 minutes or something like that. Transportation agencies around the country have long threatened traffic meltdowns as a way to justify unnecessary highway expansions and rebuilds. A dynamic traffic model, the one that accurately predicts traffic changes, will only be used in the next phase of the process, meaning MnDOT has little idea of how the alternatives will actually impact the way we move. Other flawed, no, once again, I want to say this. I am for mass transit expansion. I am for, electric cars and stuff. That will take care of some of this environmental issues. And yeah, if you have more comprehensive, easy to use mass transit system got some speed, yeah, it might be a little bit better. The problem is you're not getting that in place first. You're just hoping all this works itself out. Other flawed metrics also lead to irresponsibly investing in expensive projects that don't decrease the traffic, provide few options for those without a car, and detach from actual congestion realities. Now, here's where we get into some numbers here. While 137,000 vehicles use 94 daily, and actually, I think that number is grossly undervalued. I believe it was Kara Levin had a story one time. I think it was 180,000 people use 94. The MnDOT number is somewhere in the 160s. So I don't know where they're getting this 137, but it doesn't. I don't think that's the right number.
So this is just speculation. Are they averaging every single day, or does that factor in? It's probably going to be lighter on weekends and heavier on holidays.
The average weekdays. The average was 160. So, and that's per day. That's 160,000 vehicles are using 94 between the two downtowns in any given day. And sometimes it's a vehicle going one direction, then going the second trips that go in the other direction. But it's the numbers I've seen are in the 160. So I'm not sure where they get this 137, but I'll just go. Let me go with your 137. Okay. The data reveals a surprising truth. Most trips are local, averaging just 4 miles in length. Okay. And you're not going to bike that in winter, dude. Are the elderly going to walk that in winter now? Oh, okay. Only 39% are commuters, and mere 5% are long-distance travelers who could easily use 494 and 694. All right. Your own numbers here. Let me pull up Matt's Math Corner. 5% of, let's see here. I'm going to go with your numbers. 137. All right. Times 0.05 equals. Basically, yeah, your 0.5% is 6,850 cars per day. That's by your numbers. That's going to add a lot of traffic to those roads if you just ship that up there. That is basically an additional per hour. I'll divide that by. I'll do it by 24 to even give you the better of the doubt. That's an extra 258 cars per hour on those roads. 285 cars per hour. Sure. And that's basically, those will just go away. The other 95%, I don't know where they're going to go, but that 5% we'll put onto those roads. The boulevard would officially serve 40,000 daily local trips while restoring neighborhood connections across 40,000 daily trips. What about the other 100,000 daily trips, man? You don't. Okay. This is your problem. I'm just going with your numbers. Your numbers basically say, well, and 100,000 people? I don't know. What are you doing with 100,000 people in the cars every day? You got 6,800 going off onto 694, 494. Where are the other 100,000 people by your own numbers going to go? Oh, that's right. You're basically, they're not going to be a lawyer anymore. They're going to whittle flutes and sell them with their hemp bags because you completely changed all this stuff. There is, once again, I understand dreamers, but your dream is overriding common sense here. And all you're going to do is going to create a traffic mess on the crosstown on 36, 694, and 494 so that you get a boulevard and the rest of us, especially all those communities where those highways run, get screwed. And their environment is not going to be safer. Their quality of life is not going to get better. I got more on this. I mean, they continue, and I'm just, 952-946-6205, 952-946-6205. We'll take a break. Come on back. It is the Matt McNeil Show on Thursday.
Winter is here. Ramsey County winter warming spaces are now open every night between 9 p.m. and 7 a.m. now through March. These spaces are available to anyone in need of a place to warm up overnight. If you or someone you know need a place to warm up overnight, call 651-266-1035 between 5 p.m. and 5 a.m. That's 651-266-1035. To find out more information, visit ramseycounty.us/warming spaces. 8 years ago, over 100,000 Minnesotans marched to the state capitol, standing together to defend women's rights, immigrants' rights, queer rights, and justice for all. Now, as our freedoms face new threats under an incoming administration built on oppression and divisiveness, it's time to stand together again. Join the People's March on January 18th at the Minnesota State Capitol. Together, we'll send a clear and unmistakable message. We will not go back. Building on the legacy of the Women's March Minnesota, this year's event will include a march to the Capitol and a rally. You'll connect with Minnesota organizations working to protect our rights. These organizations need your support, not just now, but over the next 4 years and beyond. The weather may be cold, but our commitment is unbreakable. The stakes are too high to stay silent. Let's show the strength of our voices as we fight for Minnesota's future. Again, that's the People's March on Saturday, January 18th at the state capitol. Details at womensmarchmn.com.
Start the new year with nonstop laughs at Brave New Workshop's Big Christmas Energy. This holiday tradition, now running through January, is packed with sketches and songs to keep the laughs going. Enjoy new sketches and perennial favorites, including their unforgettable take on the 12 Days of Christmas. Whether you're recovering from awkward holiday conversations or just looking for a good time, Big Christmas Energy will leave you smiling. Catch Big Christmas Energy Thursdays through Saturdays in January at Brave New Workshop in Minneapolis. Get tickets at bravenewworkshop.org.
Stay like toffee, sip like coffee, wake up, change your mind and drop me love to hate me crazy.
AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota. It is the Matt McNeil Show. Oh, by the way, you just heard Brave New Workshop's Big Christmas Energy. We're talking about that. Big Christmas Energy is going on through January at Brave New Workshop, and I love those guys. They're some of the funniest guys in town. bravenewworkshop.com. Show is packed with sketch comedy. Will keep you laughing the entire show. Whether you're covering from an awkward holiday conversation or looking forward to a good time, Big Christmas Energy will leave you smiling. I've got a 4-pack of tickets. 4-pack of tickets right now. A 4-pack of tickets to Big Christmas Energy tomorrow at the Brave New Workshop. A 4-pack of tickets, 952-946-6205, 952-946-6205. Caller number 5. You're going to win a 4-pack of tickets for tomorrow night at the Brave New Workshop. Big Christmas Energy. Good luck. 952-946-6205 is the phone number. Going back to this. Now, once again, I want to point out one of the problems that they have here is that they contradict themselves. Now, he says earlier here, the Boulevard would efficiently serve 40,000 daily local trips. All right? That's what they say. But then he comes back and says, Norm Marshall, a national expert on traffic modeling, a general prediction suggests half of today's trips would continue along the Boulevard. Well, if you by your own admission, that's half. That's 67,000. So you're basically admitting through this other guy that there's going to be more traffic than the boulevard could hold on it anyway. Let alone just kind of shrugging your shoulders about where the other 67 is because you think people are just going to bike 4 miles or hike 4 miles. Because, Matt, that would be a better world, wouldn't it? It ain't going to happen, man. It is not going to happen. 94 is becoming, and they say traffic patterns are malleable and MnDOT's existing traffic models are spotty at best. You're the one that's saying, well, we'll manage 40,000 cars and then turning around saying, oh, well, it's actually going to be 67,000 cars or 68,000 cars. You basically say 5% of the traffic is going to go to the other state. Well, you have no idea where the rest of the traffic is going to go outside of, I guess they're going to sew themselves a hemp car. I don't know what you think you're going to do, but those cars got to go somewhere. The crazy part is this. I'm going to bring back the money issue. The money issue is because they initially are saying we probably could do this for $1 billion. All right, I want to make sure you understand what they're going to do. They're going to take 8 miles of interstate highway, 8 miles from downtown St. Paul, downtown Minneapolis. They're going to have to tear up and dig up everything. All the concrete, all the ramps, the lights, the electrical, the sewer, everything that's under that road has got to be dug up for 8 miles. Then you got to haul that away. You've got to then fill in that big, massive hole. And then you have to build a road and relay the sewer, the water, the electrical, everything underneath it. They're saying $2 billion. Let me give you an example of how laughable this number is. The cost of the Southwest Light Rail line is $2.68 billion. That's one train freaking line. And most of it was built along existing train lines. $2 billion might be enough to break up the concrete and dig up the stuff on the street. Might be enough. But that's all you're going to be able to do. To fill it in is going to cost you billions more. And then once again, you're going to have to offset. You're going to have to do something with these other highways that are going to have to pick up the traffic from your new boulevard. Because even on your best argument, it still is going to be, half the cars with your that 137 model. Half of those cars, they're going to have to go somewhere. So you're going to have to make improvements to 694, 494, 36 Crosstown. All of them are going to have to become highwayed out. Then with your utopian mantra here, you got to build light rail, bus lines, high lane bus lines, all these things. You have to invest the money to get those in place. Dude, you are looking at least $70 billion worth of investment. At least to make sure you get a boulevard at the expense of everyone else. You guys can't be serious, man. Dream. I don't want to squash this, but you have to come up against reality. And you just wiping away the problem of all the cars because you don't have a freaking answer to that is not a good plan. You basically lowballing the cost by 95% just because you don't want to tell people what it would actually cost to actually pull this off. That's being dishonest, man. There are some things we can do, but re-engineering society is a bad idea. We give away those tickets? Oh, good deal. We're going to give away more tickets tomorrow for Brand New Workshop. Have a good one. Native Roots Radio is up next. Till tomorrow. See ya.
Hi, I'm Corey Wisco, president of the Welshire. The Welshire